Hi, welcome to Astrobabble. I'm Donna from Donna B Astrology.
I'm Lynda from Scullywag Astrology.
And we're talking about the eclipse today that's going to happen on April 30th and the astrology that will go with it till the next full moon.
Which will be a lunar eclipse. So if you're in Pacific time, this solar eclipse will be happening at 1:28 p.m. If you're Mountain Time, USA, it will be 2:28 p.m. Central Time will be 3:28 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4:28 p.m. If you're in the UK, it will be 9:28 p.m. Those are all on the 30th of April. And if you're in Australia, if you're in Perth, way over on the western side, it'll be 4:28 a.m. on the 1st of May. And if you're on the East Coast, it will be 6:28 a.m. on the 1st of May.
Yep. And this is going to happen on the fourth moon mansion. And that will be good for planting seeds, buying clothes, buying pets or beasts if you have a farm. It's also good for journeying. So it's good to go on a trip. It is not good to get associated with people in power. You could end up regretting it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And if you are captured, it speaks of long captivity.
Oh, not much fun at all.
So mind your P's and Q's.
Oh my, okay. Fair enough.
So that's the moon mansion. Yeah. This particular eclipse, it's a solar eclipse, so it happens with a new moon, because you can only have a solar eclipse when there is a new moon present. It started in 850 AD, or common era right now, CE, and it will end, what did we say, 2094.
Yes.
So that's the Saros cycle. If you watched our eclipse episode
podcast,
we did the Saros cycles and how it starts at the bottom pole or the North Pole, and it will go. So this is the Saros cycle 6 North is what it's called, and it started in 850. And the thing that they have documented is coffee was discovered.
Oh, nice.
So usually things that start out, hopefully they just change how they're going to be formulated, because I would hate to see that coffee came to an end and that cycle is going to end in 2094. So hopefully we have a new thing for coffee. But that's when it was discovered, was right on that eclipse.
Oh wow, interesting. And eclipses sometimes, the Saros cycles, they go in 18-year cycles. So Donna, I believe you have the dates of previous eclipses for this century at this Saros cycle.
Yeah. So it's going to be around the same kind of flavor that you experienced if you were around in 1914, 1950, 1968, 1986, 2004, 2022, and the next one will be in 2040. So it's going to be the same flavor. And that has to do with father figures or accepting commitments because somebody else was not able to fulfill the responsibility. So that's what this eclipse is supposed to be about. Eclipses also give you shocking news or things come to light abruptly. So that's the other signature of an eclipse. So coffee really fits in there.
It wakes you up anyway. Yeah, so the eclipse degree is 10 degrees Taurus, 28 minutes. If you've got planets in your natal chart that are very close to that degree, say about 2 degrees either side, so from about 8 to 12 degrees of Taurus, or opposite at Scorpio, or square that at Leo or Aquarius, you might find this eclipse a little bit more, it's more likely to have an impact on you than people who don't have planets or chart points, which would be, say, your ascendant or MC. you're more likely to experience something with this eclipse than somebody who doesn't have planets or chart points there.
Should we get ready and let people understand what possibly they could be feeling and how these eclipses are hitting their particular houses? A lot of times what you're looking for, the eclipses have to do with the nodes. And if we remember, the north node is like the head, or what we're trying to get more of, and the south node looks like a horseshoe, yeah, right at the bottom of the chart, and it's what we're trying to get rid of. And I think the eclipses have a lot to do with trying to achieve balance in those two houses, whichever those two houses are going to fall.
Yeah, that's interesting. I suppose things coming to light in one house and then the other house 2 weeks before or after, because solar eclipses always have a lunar eclipse with them, either 2 weeks before or 2 weeks after. So you've got those two houses both having a lot of strong emphasis on them. So,
yep.
Hmm.
So the aspects that are also associated with this eclipse are Uranus is really close to it. So that's going to give more oomph to that shock and awe usually associated with eclipses, as well as that Mars is sextiling those eclipses. So those are the things that are tying in with that eclipse. You've got that real quick, Uranus energy with that let's rush into everything, and that Mars, which is they're all sextiling. So those are the planet energies that are going to be affecting the eclipse, and probably for the next, at least for sure, next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Sometimes eclipses can go on for just that 18 months of the eclipse, axis going back and forth. Sometimes some of those themes can even carry on for 18 years. So
yeah,
hang on.
Yeah, because eclipses quite often bring shocks and surprises, and that Uranus is known for shocks and surprises and sudden events. So it's kind of like, maybe we're in for some really big shocks, or the people that have planets very close to that degree, or square or opposite. So yeah.
Please don't say that. That eclipse is happening right on my ascendant.
Well, it's on my Venus as well. So yeah.
Okay.
We'll see if we're here in a month's time.
Well, it'll be exciting, that's for sure. I have no doubt that things will be changing. So so if this is happening in your first house, it's also going to be happening in your seventh house, as that access. I would be looking for things that are changing my personal life. So my hair, education, whatever I want to do to myself, or I might have I might find something out about myself, like my actual birth time. Yeah, you could, this would be the time with that would be happening with those eclipses.
Mm-hmm. And if you're an Aries ascendant sun or moon, this will be happening over the 2nd and 8th house axis. So things to do with finances, income, resources. These are things that, help you, and, resources can include people, supporters. These are going to be kind of perhaps a little bit shocking or surprising news could come to you around about this time. And then in a couple of weeks, you've got the opposite house, the 8th house of other people's money, highlighted.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of things that are in flux with with money and banking, is for sure. Moving on, if you are a Pisces, this is going to be happening in your 3rd house, and on that axis it's going to be your 3rd and 9th. So it's going to have a lot to do with awakenings or new things that are coming out in your community, or news from overseas as well, higher education, but mostly in your community. That's where the eclipse is actually happening, is in your 3rd house.
Yeah. And if you're an Aquarius, this will be happening over your 4th house. So this is home, home, family, your living conditions, real estate. So there could be some surprising, perhaps shocking events happening regarding those topics. It's also going to call in your 10th house when we have the lunar eclipse a couple of weeks later, which is career and public reputation.
And then if you're a Capricorn, this is going to be happening in your 5th house. And that has to do with your children, things you create. Pluto happens to be residing in that house. That could, and that could have a lot of impact with changing things up. If you want to change things up, it might give you an idea of how to do that.
Yeah. And if you're a Sagittarius, this will be happening over your 6th and 12th house axis, which is a difficult axis. 6th house is associated with illness, also pets, people that may work for you or people you work with. It's also the house of service. And then a couple of weeks later, you're drawing in the 12th house, which has to do with our undoing. It's self-defeating habits, addictions, escapism. It can also be charitable in that. It can be places of confinement like prisons and hospitals.
And if you are a Scorpio rising, this is going to be happening in your 7th house. And that is going to be impactful, or you might very well discover something about your significant other or the other person who you have a relationship. You might discover, somebody you've been working with for a very long time, and all of a sudden, find out they don't like broccoli. And it's shocking. So yeah,
you see them in a new light somehow.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And if you're a Libra, this is going to be happening in the 8th house. So this is another difficult house. It's associated with death. That doesn't mean that sudden death's going to necessarily happen, so don't panic. It's also other people's money. So this is things like financial agreements. This is joint finances, joint ventures. It's loans and debts. It's taxation and insurances, inheritances. And and then a couple of weeks later, you've got the 2nd house of your money, your finances, your resources highlighted. So this is the axis of mine versus ours, or shared, or somebody else's finances, money and resources.
And if you are a Virgo, this is going to be happening in your 9th house. This has to do with maybe taking a trip far away. If you were expecting or when it's a good time to take a trip. Well, with this mansion, for sure, it is time to take a trip. So yeah, this will have to do with higher education as well. If you want to start a new class, this would highlight that as well. I'm not so sure. A lot of people say that it's not good to start anything during eclipses. They pretty much resemble, like we've said before in the eclipse one, is represents Saturn, and one has the energy of Mars. So unless you're comfortable with those, I would really consider whether you want to start something. It could change. It could be startling. It could be an awakening as well.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about that earlier, because some people look forward to change and some people dread it, and this eclipse is in Taurus, which doesn't like change, but, we've got Uranus there too. So
right,
change is going to happen.
Yeah.
Not necessarily for everybody, but, if you've got planets or chart points very close to those eclipse degrees, I'd say get ready. It's going to happen. And I mean, I had this not so much with an eclipse, but with Uranus. It was in my 4th house of home and family, and eventually it nearly got all the way through, and then it was like, yep, you're moving house, whether you like it or not. And it turned out to be brilliant. It's much better. But yeah, it's change, or change will be thrust upon you.
Yeah, which is always fun. I think my motto is, as long as you're alive, expect change.
Well, it's just one of those things, isn't it? But yeah, starting new things, I suppose, they say probably not to do anything too drastic between eclipses, but But yeah, certainly you're going to have perhaps new information coming to light where, you know, then you can make choices, or maybe, you know, you will have to make choices, or, you know, you'll have new information to inform those choices. So, And if you're a Leo, this is going to be happening over your 10th and 4th house. So the 10th house is traditionally career, public reputation. So it could be, you know, it's a very visible house. So this could be something coming to light about you and your public reputation. It could be something to do with work or authorities, your boss. It could be authority in general. It could be even parents as authority figures. And then 2 weeks later, it'll be happening. We'll have a lunar eclipse in the 4th house of home and family. It's going to be kind of probably a push and pull between career and home.
Yeah. I think that's for sure. Yeah. And then if you're a Cancer ascendant, this is going to be happening in your 11th house. And if you're a Cancer ascendant, chances are these eclipses and all eclipses will affect you more than they affect the average person, because you have that lunar connection. And like I said, if you are a Cancer, it's going to be happening in your 11th house, and that's the house of groups and friends and hopes and dreams. And so if you have, you know, you might have a friend who gives you out of the blue news or very shocking news. This would be a good time to expect stuff like that.
Yeah,
happen.
At least the 11th and 5th are good houses, so it's less likely to be traumatic than if it's happening over your 6th, 12th, or 8th second.
Right. At least, well, and it's aspecting the eclipse by a sextile, which is a nicer aspect.
Yeah.
Than say a square.
True. Very true. And if you're a Gemini, this is happening over your 12th and 6th house. The solar eclipse will be happening in your 12th house of your undoing, addictions, escapism, self-defeating habits, places of confinement like prisons, hospitals. It can also be solitude, retreat. It can be, it's a difficult house. If you can channel it into something perhaps charitable, or taking time out and recharging, you know, that solitude, it's kind of a little bit hermit-like, perhaps that can work a little bit better for you. And then 2 weeks later, you've got it over the 6th house, which is service to others. It's often associated with work, usually co-workers or people that work for you, pets, or illness. So it can be a difficult house, but unless you've got planets around about 8 to 12 degrees of Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, or Aquarius, I wouldn't be stressing too much. And even if you do have those, it might, you know, just because you've got an eclipse there doesn't mean it's going to be traumatic. It's just more likely to be surprising. Something might come to light regarding those matters.
Are you ready to go for the aspects, or should we talk about a stone? I have a stone while you're getting ready.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What stone have you got? Let me just stop sharing this, and we'll look at the stone. What stone is it?
They're really kind of, they don't tumble well. This is called Fuchsite.
Fuchsite.
It's very sparkly. It's very sparkly. I wish I could show you how sparkly it is.
I can see a little bit of sparkle there. Yeah.
If you were to rub it on your face, it will leave like little sparkles. But this stone, Fuchsite, is got a Mohs hardness of like a 2 or a 2.5. So that's one of the reasons why you can't really tumble it, because it'll break apart. You know, you can almost have that.
But so will this one dissolve in water too?
No, it won't dissolve in water, but it'll break apart real fast and real easy. Oh, there's a little bit of shine to it. You can almost see that shine, but it's really, really shiny. Anyways, it's great for pain. This stone is what I use when people say, you know, my shoulder hurts or my knee hurts or, you know, whatever. This is a stone. It works on the fourth chakra, which is the heart chakra. And it is good for emergency recovery, emotional recovery as well, because it's the heart. So
yes.
yeah, it's the heart and our pain. My shoulder was in spasm a couple of weeks ago, and I put this on there, you know, just because it was the closest stone that I had, and I was like, let's see what this will do. And I was amazed with the results. So it's my new fave. For especially with the springtime, and you've been cooped up all winter, and you're starting to shovel and dig, and
Use those muscles again.
That's a good timely stone. Yeah, and it's found in Norway, Russia, which probably make sure it's not from Russia, or you will be contributing to that income. And Brazil. So yeah, Norway and Brazil are the places where you want to get your Fuchsite from. Make sure that you talk to your gem dealer and make sure that they are getting it from those two places.
Nice. And are you going to write an article about that?
I am. I have already started it. So yeah,
oh, excellent.
It will be up. I will get you the link.
Excellent. And that will be in the description as well.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So we have during the eclipse, it is Pluto is stationing, right?
Oh, good point.
I thought. It says it's retrograde, but I think it's going to be stationing.
Yeah, I have my settings set, so it doesn't really show me. I have it for when it's exactly retrograde, so I don't get that little S anymore. I need to finesse those things.
So usually when planets station, we feel them a lot. So when Pluto is stationing, and Pluto, we feel a lot. Any of the outer planets, we feel a lot when they do station. That would be Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. When they station, because they're so far out there, when they station, it's like an iron, and it seems like make it really hotter right in that 1 degree where it has to go this way, and then it stations, and then it starts moving the other way. So it's here for a lot longer, so we feel it at that degree a lot longer, and it is more impactful than a planet just racing past you. So that is something to watch out for. Pluto is associated with wanting to get and acquire more power than so it's a power hungry planet. It's also very intense. So
very intense.
Be watchful for that as well. So where Capricorn is in your chart, you might want to take a look, make sure everything is in place to be ready for that station and that eclipse.
Yeah. Interesting. And we have the Venus conjunct Jupiter at the time, or just after the eclipse. So Venus, lovely Venus, exalted in Pisces, and Jupiter, which rules Pisces, together. The benefics usually bring good things. That's what benefic means. Yeah, it should be nice. Maybe take a little bit of edge off of that eclipse in general. You do have Neptune only 3 degrees away from them. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Just very relaxed, very hippy, dippy, trippy kind of energy. So
it should, I have a big love. Jupiter is the big, Venus is love. So big love is what I was thinking. Healing as well. Anytime you have those benefics aspecting each other, it's great for healing.
Yeah, I think I remember you saying around about this time you had a lot of healing things scheduled.
I'm getting them lined up. And then on the lower end of the The Venus Jupiter is destructive love, especially with that Pluto aspect. So, you know, not everything can be all rosy. So you can and should watch out for that if that is an issue for you. I wouldn't suspect that would become an issue, but
yeah, you're talking about the Pluto sextile Venus and Jupiter. Yeah, it is a sextile, so hopefully not too bad. It can make it easier for Pluto to kind of slide in and affect that. But yeah, it just brings a bit of intensity. You were saying like big love. So this Pluto, it's kind of intensifies that. It's not just like, oh, I love everybody. It's like, oh, I love you. I don't know.
That was scary. But with Mars in there too.
Yeah. In modern astrology, Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio, and I was just thinking it's such a Scorpio thing, you know. I love you. You're never going to escape.
Specifically, yes.
Which is interesting because I mean Pluto is associated with, you know, Hades and the underworld and all that as well. So yeah. But yeah, hopefully not too intense. I mean, it is a sextile. It's supposed to be helpful. But yeah, it will be interesting. It'll be very interesting the end of April, beginning of May.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the following day on the 1st, we have Pluto and Venus make up an exact sextile. So that comes, I'm sure it's leading up that on the 30th, on the day of the eclipse, but
yeah,
on the 1st you very well might experience the themes around I want to say bad sex or sex in a not pleasant way with Pluto and Venus. That conjunction, those are the themes.
It could just be very intense sex.
Or well, there's, you know what, we have free will, so we have the you know, we can go to the positive or we can go to the negative, and so there's always, you know, there's always a choice.
Yeah, it will be interesting. And you've still got that Jupiter is at the very early degrees of it's only 7 minutes into that 28 degrees, whereas, you know, Pluto's at 28-35 minutes, but that Jupiter is still there kind of, and that can inflame things or enlarge it as well. So it will be interesting.
Yeah, I wouldn't turn my back on Mars or Pluto.
No, not a good idea.
And Uranus. I mean, there's a whole bunch of planets that, you know, they're just primed to just like be right under the surface, ready to pop their head out and say, hey, you know, or boo or whatever. But yeah,
I'm back.
Yeah, or I'm back. Yeah, so that's the energy on the 1st. So we have on May 2nd, which is, you know, it's nice to be able to say May. Yeah, Venus will go into Aries.
Venus is going to go from being exalted, she's a queen, she's gorgeous, she's beautiful, to now she's in rough and tumble Aries, where she's in detriment. So
yeah, she's not happy there.
No. It's interesting, actually, you were saying about that could be rough sex or it's kind of too intense, and it might be, yeah, it's interesting that that's right at the very end of Pisces, just as she's coming into that Aries energy, so where she's not comfortable, she's yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, she's definitely not feeling happy there, but you know, she does get to wear the bright red lipstick there.
Yes.
She does have a bit of warrior herself, so
yeah. And you know, quick, you know, like this is falling in love quickly. This is the thrill of the chase, you know. It's like Taurus, Venus and Taurus, you know, you've got your man or woman or whoever you want, and you want to kind of settle down and cuddle and be together. Whereas Aries, it's kind of the thrill of the chase. And once you got them, it might be like, yeah, that was fun. Now what? You know, so.
Yeah. Well, she's no longer with, for these last, I don't know, couple months, she's been with a malefic. She's finally not with a malefic planet. So I think she's feeling a little better than she has been, but this is still not a good place. She does not have essential dignity here at all. So she does not have, she doesn't have her own, she can't really speak her mind, or she can speak her mind, but she is constrained.
She is. She'll be a little bit better when she gets into her own bounds. So probably about, I'm not sure what degree that is. Maybe about 7 degrees in or so.
About a week. Yeah.
She'll be a little bit better, but yeah, it's not the most comfortable for her, but you know, she's going to get by. She can't see a ruler because Mars rules Aries, so it's in the sign next to it, which he's kind of like, he can't see her, and if she needs help, he can't help her. She probably doesn't want his help anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, she'll be fine, but yeah, it's a different type of Aries because it's fueled by that Mars.
Yeah.
Did I say Aries or Venus? It's a different type of Venus because it's fueled by that Mars.
Okay, and then so after Venus has gone into Aries on the 3rd, Jupiter will sextile Pluto. Jupiter in Pisces will sextile Pluto in Capricorn. So Capricorn Pluto wants to be on top and wants to rule and wants to have all the say and wants to have all the power. Yeah, the Jupiter and Pluto could cause some, you know, major problems.
Yeah, again, it's a positive aspect, but sometimes with out Earth, it just kind of allows them more ease to cause issues and problems. That Pluto is intense. It's about depth and honesty, but also quite often power. So power dynamics can come into this. Jupiter in Pisces, it's in its own sign. So it's really hard to say. Jupiter, sextile Pisces, whatever it is, it's likely to be enlarged. It might be oversized reactions to what's going on, perhaps about philosophy or wisdom or learning or travel, because those are topics associated with Jupiter. But yeah,
uprisings are possible with the Jupiter.
Hopefully not.
Well,
Hopefully
it all
not.
depends. I mean, you know, there are places that uprisings, you know, some people might not appreciate their leader.
Actually, yeah, that's interesting because you've got this stuff going on in Ukraine. It could be very much what do they call it, like the resistance like they had in World War II in those countries, and you got Pluto being this authority, though I would expect perhaps maybe a square or something with that. But yeah, that's an interesting idea. It could be resistance.
And there's also the idea of reckless courage with the Neptune and the Jupiter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the Mars could have, and the Pluto, with that whole group there aspecting with reckless courage. So I implore the Ukrainians to be careful and be mindful. Don't be too courageous to where you're sacrificing yourself. But yeah, you could have a lot of heroism now, you know, with that kind of aspect.
When I see Jupiter and Pluto, I also think big money. So it might be interesting to see what's happening with the stock market at that time.
Ooh, May 2nd. All right. So anybody who's those people who have,
I am not a financial advisor. Do not, and I know nothing about financial astrology. So take that very much with a grain of salt. It may be interesting to see what's happening. Yeah. With the stock market at that time.
Oh yeah. All of this this prediction is, what do they say, 40% accurate? So you can say the high and you can say the low, but you can't say, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, and in everybody's individual natal chart, it's going to be different. You know, sometimes these aspects, yes, they're happening in a house in your chart, but it's not impacting anything significant. You know, sometimes, and I know myself, I look at some aspects and I think, oh, this is going to be a really difficult aspect in general. And I sail through it. And then you see a really lovely aspect. You think, oh, that's so lovely. And then it happens and it's just like, well, that was horrible. It just depends on your individual chart as well, which is why horoscopes in general, they can give you the general feeling and an outline, but they can't give you that accuracy because we need to look at your individual natal chart.
Exactly. And then even if it's in your natal chart, I think it has to show up 3 different ways in order for it to actually manifest. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot.
And it depends too. I mean, like if you've got Mars, the planet of aggression and energy and action, in your 7th house of relationships, does that manifest as fighting with a partner, or is it activities with a partner? You know, is it you know, doing something energetic? You know,
or competitive with a partner. I mean,
yes, yeah.
Oh,
and, you know, and what is your Mars like in your chart, and what is it like in your partner's chart? You know, how do you both, you know, some people don't like that competitiveness. Some people thrive on it. It's so individual.
It is very individual.
Do you know what's happening, Donna? I mean, we're getting so distracted, you know.
I know we are. Okay, so we should go on to the 3rd. I know we can talk about Jupiter. Well, Jupiter has the idealism. So the moral, Jupiter tries to achieve that moral high ground. So that's why I was going with that heroism and that Pluto together. That's why I was going in there, because, you know, it's best to be prepared so you know how to respond when the event does happen.
Yeah.
That's I think that is my motivation for even doing these videos, because I mean, I think that people can benefit and have a better sense of life if they know what's coming at them. They can then go, oh, well, Aries is going to be in my 1st house and I've been wanting to put in a garden. I guess that's what we'll do, you know. So that's why I'm doing these in the first place, because I think I mean,
if you know that you've got Mars in the 3rd house of communications, you're probably going to be coming across a little bit more aggressive than usual. So you might try and tame it down a little bit, you know. Yeah, just little things like that can really help. And me and Donna were talking about this earlier, you know, looking at your aspects to your chart when something happens is so informative. It's like, you know, having a bad day, what's opposite your Mars at the moment, you know, or having a really good day, what's aspecting your Venus? You know, it's just really interesting.
Yes. Yeah, it is very interesting, or very telling, because I think just a quick side note, I commented in a Facebook group for the first time, and then I heard commotion out in the kitchen. My husband and my daughter were talking about who was emptying the dishwasher. Anyways, but my sun was on my midheaven. There's the sun on the midheaven, and then my moon was on Mars. And it's like, there it is. It's like plain as day. So anyways, so we were moving on to May 3rd.
Yeah. I've got to ask, I think Mercury, and because I know we've both been having issues with technology and that this past week, Mercury and Neptune are messing with us. So yeah, so this is the no boundaries. This is why this episode is a little bit all over the place. We're going to roll with it though.
I have a list. Okay, so we're moving on to May 3rd.
Okay.
Jupiter sextiling Pluto. Did we do that? Yeah.
Yes, we just spoke about that.
So the 4th is Mars sextiling Uranus.
Yeah, there is a lot of sextiles leading up to this next the full moon, which will be a lunar eclipse. So yeah, Mars, aggression and speed and energy, sextiling, helpful, Uranus, which is sudden, surprising, eccentric, innovative. So
Yeah.
Could be, you know, great time to implement new ideas.
Yeah, good idea. Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, the sun is going to be very close to that Uranus at the time too. So maybe a lot of people are ready for a shake-up, you know?
Yeah, it's possible. Breakthroughs,
Yeah.
because, you know, Uranus is in charge of technology. So
It could be interesting. Yeah, that's the point.
could also be hacking. Mars and Uranus.
Yeah, I suppose
I
so.
know I'm
Yeah,
thinking about a whole bunch of bad things, but you know, just make
that's
sure
interesting though, because if that were to happen, not so much hacking, but what I'm thinking of, because Mars is, you know, severing, so more likely denial of service, or what are they worried about? Kind of like people taking out like the internet sort of thing.
malware,
So,
ransomware.
yeah, I'm thinking on a larger scale, as in like, you know, they just kind of take out your internet, like of a country or a city or, you know, a large region.
Oh,
See, this is Jupiter. You suggest something, and I'm kind of like, oh, we're going to enlarge this. We're going to make it worse.
or like a solar flare that could easily come and take out and create a blackout of sorts.
Well, that's interesting with that sun, which is the solar, very close to Uranus at that time too. Hopefully, it's not going to be anything like that though. But
no, but these are all, you know, you should have
possibilities.
As a PSA, you should have your antivirus up to date. You should make sure that your computer is backed up, and you should be making sure that you are checking everything a couple of times, because the end of April was the shadows period starting Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde is going to happen May 10th, so somewhere in this eclipse period. So
yeah, that's
it doesn't hurt to get your programs up to date and your antivirus, all that software. Yeah. Don't click on unknown links.
No,
you know,
that's
that
good
kind
advice in general. But yeah, we'll have to do an episode on the retrograde shadow period at some stage. I don't know if we're going to have time before this, what would you call it, before the actual retrograde. Yeah. But yeah, basically you've got your retrograde period, but a couple of weeks before or after, it's when it's in the shadow, and we'll get into that in a future episode, because it's not overly complicated, but it does go into some detail. But yeah, basically it kind of extends the time that the retrograde effects can be relevant.
Yeah, Mercury retrogrades are always fun.
Yeah. So, well, again, it depends what house they're in, and if it's aspecting any personal planets as well. So
exactly, yeah, you don't have to be. I think it does affect everybody. The retrograde does, but
I know that some retrogrades affect me more than others, and there's times where I've sailed through the retrograde period and I've got caught in the shadow period. So yeah, what can you do?
Yeah, so what's our next aspect that we have?
Well, we were kind of talking about that Sun Uranus. We did Mars and Uranus. What about Sun and Uranus? So that will be
independence. Sun and Uranus, independence, freedom, striving for freedom.
Yeah, I like those. It is in the sign of Taurus, which is a fixed sign. So I think this is going to be more comfortable for some people than others. If you've somebody that's got a lot of mutable or cardinal energy in your chart, a lot of planets in those in cardinal or mutual, I think you're going to probably handle this better than people with a lot of fixed sign energy. But yeah, I mean, it comes down to, again, you know, with Uranus, It's, you know, change will be kind of forced upon you in some way. Unless it's aspecting something significant in your chart, it might not be overly significant. It might be just you wanted to go to the shops this way. You've always gone to the shops this way. This is the way you know. This is what you're comfortable with. And there's a roadblock. So you're going to have to go a different way. Whereas if it's something, you know, if you've got something really close to 14 degrees of the fixed signs, you know, it might be a little bit more significant for you.
Instability is another thing that's coming to mind with Uranus and the Sun conjunct.
What I do like about Uranus, and I've found this usually to be quite typical for, in my cases anyway, and I've heard a lot of people say it can bring freedom, even though it can be disruptive and all that. It's usually kind of it happens for the best. You know, you're forced to move and do something and change, but it usually ends up being better for you. So there is that. If you're going through a difficult time at that time, yeah, you know, it's possibly going to be better in the long run.
Yeah, sounds good.
And then we have Mercury sextile Venus, which we had not long ago. Mercury will be in Gemini at this time, so it will be in good condition. It will be getting close to that retrograde, so it will be starting to slow down.
Yeah, he's not only in his own terms, he's in his own sign. He's very, very strong Mercury.
Yes.
With Venus, maybe working through a process, because Mercury is all about the process. Like, you know, the science, when you're a scientist and you have to do this, and then you can do this, and then you know, it's all about the process and being very detail oriented and technical. So maybe this would be some good times. Well, Venus and Mercury is time for good discussion. So, and happy discussion and lively discussion. So hopefully there's some, you know, inclusivity with Venus. Has that, you know, gather kind of energy. Venus wants everybody in, you know, to come to the hearth, and maybe this will be the energy for that, and they can iron out the details. That would be nice. I'd rather have it happen sooner. As we're recording this on, what is it, April 20th, 18th? Yeah, 19th. It would be nice if people sat down at a table, got out the pencil, and worked out the details. That would be a good Venus Mercury aspect. We can hope.
Yeah, it is a nice energy. This Venus is a bit of a rowdy Venus. Gemini can be quite, not rowdy, but it's energetic and it's fun and it's young. They're both kind of young energies. So yeah, kind of a lot of, yeah, you know, like if we're flirting here, it's kind of like, it's not going to be like I love you. It's going to be like quite playful and fast and kind of maybe even a little bit teasing. And yeah, it's a faster, more active, not aggressive necessarily, but fast, and that, yeah, just a bit more rambunctious. So yeah.
Yep. Should be an interesting day. Hopefully it's a fun day. Hopefully it's a good day. We have good news out of that. Good conversations. Yeah. So the next one is going to happen on May 7th, and that's going to be the Sun sextiling Mars, right? Yeah.
Interesting.
This speaks of boldness and courage, and the desire to lead, you know, like charge, like.
Yeah. This Mars isn't particularly strong in that position, but yeah, I think this is kind of like the courage of your convictions. This is, you know, I want to do this, and you've kind of got that Mars energy drive to kind of power you along. It's Mars in a water sign, so probably this works better for if it's an emotionally driven project. But yeah, just good energy to kind of get you going, you know, rather than just sitting there and thinking about it.
Yeah. I'm not quite sure how that Mars is actually going to manifest in there with that Jupiter. So
Yeah, I mean, there's 12 degrees between them, so not too bad. I mean, yeah, hopefully it will be helpful. I mean, that Mars can be problematic depending where it is in a person's chart, but that Neptune could kind of dissolve it somewhat. Yes, that Jupiter could inflame it. I'd be much more worried if they were like within 3 degrees of each other or something. That Jupiter is going to move into Aries, which will be interesting because that will be ruled by Mars then. But yeah, I'm not overly stressed about that. I think this is just good. You know, I want to do this, so get up and do it. You know, sometimes you just kind of, you put your mind to something and you go out and do it. Other times you kind of think, oh, I should do that. And then, you know, you get distracted and I mean, you've got that Uranus still quite close to that sun at the time. So you have a great idea and it's like the Mars is there saying, yeah, well, let's do it.
yeah. Well, with the eclipse happening in Taurus, things can happen with grain in our crops. So,
interesting.
and with in the Pisces and the Mars, you know,
yeah,
there can be things that are a disruption or aggressive around crops.
Yeah, that's a little bit concerning because with all this situation going on with Ukraine,
it's the breadbasket of Europe.
Yeah, these crops aren't being planted, so that could lead to some issues. Hopefully, I would maybe expect that at a square or an opposition. I know it doesn't have to be a hard aspect to cause problems, but interesting. Maybe we'll have some rumblings at that time. Interesting.
Or it's all in the past because they made up beforehand when Venus and Pluto were getting together. Hopefully. Anyways, then on the 8th we have Mother's Day, which the moon will be in Leo on that day.
Nice.
Yeah, lions tend to eat their young. I'm just saying, you know, when you have I don't know. Hopefully Mother's Day is nice. It'll have a nice square to the sun and Uranus.
Yeah, it will be, the moon will be square to that sun and Uranus for some of that time. Yeah, could be some tense moments, but you know, the moon moves really fast, so yeah.
Yes, it does. It'll only be
maybe take her out the day before, or and in Australia it should be a little bit later, so we might actually get a Virgo.
Oh, well, there you go. There's no.
I'm not sure. I'll have to think about that. Let me actually just quickly change the location. So that will be Monday. So we'll actually, no, we're not going to avoid the we're going to have the same thing, the Leo. So yeah, it could be tense for everyone. But yeah.
So treat your mother regally. Royally is how you should treat your mother, royally. Like the lion. Yeah. Okay, so on the 10th we have Mercury will finally be retrograde, and that's going to happen at 7:42 p.m.
Mercury retrograde, where are we? Okay, so that's that R there. Yeah, so 4 degrees of Gemini. And if you have planets at around about 4 degrees, so say 2 to 6 degrees of Gemini, Sag, Virgo or Pisces, this might be a retrograde period that affects you more than most. And it's going to retrograde back to, I think, about 26 Taurus.
It is.
Which is interesting because that's around about the degree, it's going to be opposite the degree of the lunar eclipse we've got coming up. So
it is.
Very interesting.
Very interesting on what Mercury is going to, you know, have for us? What kind of energy?
Yeah.
I think obviously, the communication is going to be, highlighted. So is the world finance.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah. So it will retrograde back into Taurus. So it will lose a little bit of dignity because it's a sign that it rules. So it's like it's in its home at the moment. It will be retrograde. So that does kind of inhibit it. Mercury retrograde periods are really good for just reviewing, redoing, reevaluating, reapplying. This is the planet has been going along and it's stopped, which is what's happening at this time when it stations retrograde, and then it will go backwards. So it's like you're on your way to the store. You thought, oh, I don't have my wallet. So you've stopped. Well, normally you wouldn't necessarily stop, but in this instance, we're going to say you're going to stop and then you're going to reverse all the way back, which of course you wouldn't do in real life. You would just turn around and go back the other way. But in this case, the planet's going back over ground it's already gone over. So it's a good time to review, redo, reapply. Always good idea to, like Donna was saying earlier, make sure things are backed up. And that, before you hit send on that email or that text, that, it's going to the right person, that you've, got the right attachment to that email. Just to be a little bit more cautious during Mercury retrograde.
Yep, that's really good advice. Especially when you have Jupiter moving into Aries all on its own.
Yeah, that would be interesting too.
So, yeah. So Jupiter is being in Aries now has that that impatientness associated with that. Let's get everything big. So that would be something to watch out for with that, growing and expansive. Honesty is also an energy that can come through, wanting to be focused and clear.
Yeah, it will be in its own bounds for the first, it looks like 5 or 6 degrees, which is nice. But yeah, it's a more impatient Jupiter, wisdom, travel, knowledge. In a negative sense, Jupiter can be a little bit judgmental, and it can be a little bit, what's the word, kind of look down their nose at others, kind of, judgmental and just kind of a bit snooty at times. I wouldn't necessarily associate snooty with Aries, but certainly jumping to conclusions or a bit judgmental about others could be something that trips you up while Jupiter's in Aries. Yeah, I mean, Jupiter in a fire sign is in its night triplicity, so that helps it somewhat. It's not hugely hobbled. It's just we waited so long for Jupiter to be in Pisces because Jupiter was in Capricorn and Aquarius, those two Saturn ruled signs, for like 2020 and 2021, and all the astrologers were waiting for it to get to Pisces, and it went into Pisces in 2021, but then it went back to Aquarius. And then it finally got back into Pisces, which it rules in, I think it was about the 28th of December last year. You could usually expect Jupiter to be in a sign for like 13 months, but it just went straight through. I mean, what have we had? Just over 5 months or something. It's not enough.
No, not for that big planet to just not be in that sign for that long. Although, hopefully. Hopefully.
Is it gonna retrograde back into Pisces for a little bit? I think it might.
I think it will at the end of the year, if not next year sometime.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. Maybe it will. I know it's going to station round about 8 degrees of Aries because that's my sun. I was like, oh, great.
If I was a gambling girl, I would say yes.
Hmm.
It is
Well,
going to go
that's
back.
interesting, because I could totally see Jupiter and Aries being a gambler.
Speaking of,
And interesting, that's another thing that Jupiter is associated with, which is luck. So it's called the greater benefic because it tends to bring good things. So wherever Aries is in your natal chart, you might have some sort of luck in this area. So yeah, have a look, and then, you know, depending on what house it is in. And we'll have to eventually get round to Jupiter in this sign episodes and all that sort of thing. But yeah, Jupiter, what house it is, it might bring good things.
yeah, that
Generally speaking.
Yeah,
I mean, sometimes it's just causing issues and blowing things out of proportion, but generally speaking, it is a benefic planet. It brings good things.
Right. But yeah. Yeah. It should be should have a better time than it was in, you know, say Aquarius or Capricorn, for sure.
Yeah. Further it can get away from those, the better.
Yeah, because I wonder if Saturn won't be in Pisces when Jupiter gets back there. I'm not sure. We'll have to look at that. But anyways, moving on to May 15th.
May 15th.
We have this will be, we went through 15 days without a hard aspect of a square. Okay. We have conjunctions are hard aspects and squares are hard aspects. This is our first square. And that's going to be between Saturn and the sun. And that gives usually the energy of duty. Like it is my duty and it's my responsibility to do whatever. Yeah.
And that can be kind of like, yeah, you got to do it, but you're not overly thrilled about it.
Yeah. Not thrilled about it. Yeah. There's other.
It's an obligation.
Yeah. Or sluggish vitality.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Of course, Saturn slows down things, and
yes,
and the sun is representative of ourselves and our vitality. So yeah, I like that. I like that a lot, actually.
Yeah. So we are getting close to a full moon. It's looking like, but we do have one more aspect. The sun is going to be sextiling Neptune.
Yeah, that's kind of a bit of daydreaming, kind of, could be quite idealistic.
Lots of creativity.
Yeah,
I was just going to say the creativity.
Yeah. Interesting that it's going to be happening at the same time as that Sun square Saturn. So you've got all these obligations, but you'd much rather be off doing something much nicer. Maybe if you daydream more, you do the obligations, it will be easier.
Spirituality might be associated with that as well.
Yeah.
With the Sun Neptune. It's that, you know, beyond what I can touch.
Yeah.
Type of thinking. Yeah.
Interesting that you were saying about that Sun square Saturn with it kind of, it can make you sluggish. This is a sextile from Neptune, but Neptune can kind of dissolve things. So the sun again is the vitality, but as we were saying earlier, even though it's a sextile, sometimes it just makes it easier. So for some people particularly, this might be a time of really, really low energy because you've got that Sun Saturn square, and at the same time you've got Neptune kind of messing with that
bogging down
vitality as well. And then we've got the lunar eclipse. Do you want to have a look at that chart?
Sure. It's going to be happening at 25 degrees Scorpio, 18 minutes. So that should be an interesting eclipse. It will be happening at night. So in the eastern coast for sure. I believe all of the United States will be able to see it. And this will be a total lunar eclipse. Typically eclipses that if it's a total eclipse and you are able to visualize it, it will impact you more. So Lynda, you won't be able to even see it. It'll be light where you are during this.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. That will probably be about 2 o'clock in the afternoon for me. So yeah, it'd be broad daylight. We won't see it here. So probably more impactful for people in the Northern Hemisphere.
Right, yeah.
Saturn will be squaring that degree as well. So, and we're talking fixed signs. So that'd be interesting. Uranus will be a little bit further away. I mean, it'd be within 10 degrees, but hopefully not too erratic. But yeah, it will be interesting. Perhaps some of these surprises or things coming to light will be a little bit more somber or sobering, with Saturn square the eclipse degree.
Yeah. That was lots of fun. There's a lot of sextiles, and Mercury was raising all kinds of energy, and it seems like this is going to definitely be a month to keep an eye on where the aspects and where the planets are hitting. And if you know your chart, you'll be able to see and kind of you have a heads up of where this is going to hit you in your chart. So and if you don't know your chart, you can go on to a website, astroseek.com, or you can get a hold of me or Lynda. I'm sure they can get a hold of you. I'm Donna B Astrology .com, and or you can email me at donnabarconsulting@gmail.com. So I'll be happy to help you out so that you can look at your chart, because if you can get an idea of where you can have the leeway and where you can't have the leeway. So once you understand where those planets are hitting in your chart, it makes for easier navigation to navigate these tougher times. It's going to be tougher times with Mars. Is going to be in one sign at the end of this year for a long time. And if you know where all the other planets and how it's aspecting, it'll help you out, I think, in my opinion. In my layman's informal opinion, it has helped me out.
Yeah.
I definitely
just looking where the moon is can be quite illuminating. If you're not comfortable kind of thing, Mars is this, what does Mars mean? Just looking where the moon is in what house can be quite interesting. It tells you what your focus is kind of looking towards for those couple of days.
Yeah.
And what services are you offering at the moment, Donna?
I am offering natal readings. I am offering horary, and I am offering electional. I am also offering schedule, and it's only people that are close to me, for crystal layouts. I can as well do distance healing as well, or distance healing layouts, or distance supportive layouts would be a more accurate term. Never discount the doctors that you have in your life and getting regular medical attention, but the layouts do tend to support the healing. If there's support to be had, the crystals do help with the healing. So Lynda, what are your services and where can people get a hold of you?
I am at Scullywag Astrology, which is www.astrology.scullywag. That's SCULLYWAG.com. I'm on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and I offer natal readings, which is looking at your birth chart. I offer synastry, which is looking at your relationship with the partner, and year ahead forecast. So
and you have been doing a great job at doing all the editing of the podcasts, and so thank you very much. Thank you very much. You are a whiz with the social media and getting all that going. Lynda, you deserve way more credit than you're revealing.
Thank you.
You're excellent on the website. So
thank you.
Look forward to doing this again.
Yes, it's always fun getting together and doing these. Thank you for listening. Please like or subscribe, or if you're subscribed, hit the bell so you are notified if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're listening on the podcast. And thank you.
Yes, thank you. Bye.
Bye.